What's going on, everybody? This is Mattdoesfitness, and think of a number, multiply it by 3, now add 5, and divide it by 2. Thanks. Hello and welcome to another video, and today I'm talking about a pretty hot topic, my deadlift. Now, before I start, to give you an idea of my kind of deadlifting background, if you have no idea, I'm going to show you where my deadlift used to be and now where it is now.
Right, let's go!
Okay, now although obviously that occurred over quite a long time frame and there was lots of different factors and variants going on over that time, fairly recently I put up a deadlift PR which was 250 kilograms, 551 pounds, and I kind of explained how basically my deadlift had not changed for about 5 or 6 months, and then finally I kind of cracked it and it started to really fly up. And a lot of you were saying, or asking me, what did you do? You know, like, kind of how did you change your setup? What did you do differently to kind of break that plateau? So before I go on, in the description I've linked that particular video. If you go and watch that now, you have a far clearer understanding of what I'm talking about. But yeah, basically today I'm going to talk to you about how I fixed my deadlift, what I did to improve my deadlift, and why I'm now feeling very confident of making some good progress in that area. Okay, this video is going to be split into 3 main areas where I made the change or the changes to enable me to break the plateau. The first of which is my frequency. Now, this is a pretty hot topic in training in general, and for me it took me a long while to kind of figure it out, because with my squats and my bench press, when I increased the frequency of my training, so I started training more frequently, those lifts went up. There was a direct correlation between increased frequency and the amount of weight I was lifting. However, with my deadlift, I found the complete opposite. So where I was really struggling, where I was plateauing, I tried all kinds of things, and one of those things was doing it more often. So I started deadlifting twice a week. I tried deadlifting heavy twice a week. I tried having 1 heavy session and 1 dynamic session. I tried throwing in loads of glute ham raises and other deadlift accessories, and what I found was that it made no difference at all. In fact, on a couple of occasions, my deadlift actually regressed. I found that I ran a training cycle with all those added kind of changes and the added frequency, and I tested at the end of it, and my deadlift had actually gone down. So what I've now settled on is deadlifting once a week. Now, at the moment I'm deadlifting heavy once a week, and it's around sets of 3. I may even drop it to where I go heavy 1 week and light the next week, but for me personally, dropping that frequency to once a week made a big difference with my deadlift. Okay, number 2 is my technique off the floor. So, while I'm talking here, I'll show you a couple of clips so you have a clear idea of what I'm talking about. But basically, I've always been very weak off the floor. My speed off the floor has always been terrible. I always find that as soon as I break the floor, the bar moves quickly, but it's always that initial part where I kind of plateau. And yeah, when I've failed PR attempts in the past, I haven't even broken the floor. That's kind of the worst way to do it. It's very depressing to get really G'd up, go up to the bar and not even break the floor. So the biggest change I made in that respect is that I started just trying to rip it off the floor. Now, I pull sumo, which is obviously not conducive to people that are weak off the floor, and where I was so conscious of my form, I was trying to get really tight at the bottom. I was spending a long time down there getting set, and I was gradually kind of getting everything engaged and then starting the pull. And what I found was that it was just kind of exacerbating the problem. I felt even weaker off the floor, and like I said, very frequently I would fail to break the floor on a rep. So what I've started doing now is literally getting set, getting my grip set, doing a couple of almost kind of bounces to try and get a bit of a stretch reflex, because I do believe you can get a bit of a stretch reflex with a deadlift. And then literally when I'm set, just ripping it off the floor, not spending any time down there thinking about it, approaching the bar, getting my feet set, and just ripping it as hard as I physically can off the bar, off the floor. And for me, it's just made me feel literally 10 times stronger off the floor. You look at my most recent lifts, the bar is moving so much better off the floor than it ever has done before. For me personally, that has made a massive difference. So now that I'm confident in my technique, I'm not stressing about it, I'm not really overthinking it, I'm approaching the bar, getting set, and then absolutely pulling it with everything I have. And thirdly, and probably most controversially, amongst the kind of changes that I've made, that is my general technique. Now, Up until, again, fairly recently, I was under the impression that you had to maintain a neutral spine at all times and you had to set your shoulders directly above the bar in order to pull efficiently and safely. I've done a lot of research on this topic, and both of those things are completely incorrect. Now, before I go any further and I get some abuse, if you are not, if you're not a powerlifter, or if you are purely lifting for kind of for size and for general health, then by all means keep a neutral spine. That is by far the safest way to do it, and you will dramatically reduce the risk of injuring your back if you pull with a neutral, flat, straight spine. However, for powerlifting, for optimal performance, it is perfectly safe and very, very common to have a slightly rounded thoracic spine. Many top deadlifters will do this. If you look at their form, to the untrained eye, it looks like they have a rounded back. Actually, their lumbar spine is straight, but their thoracic spine is slightly curved. And in doing so, you are lengthening your lever, you're allowing yourself to set your hips a bit higher, and it just makes you stronger. And for me personally, by doing that, I've made myself, again, dramatically stronger off the floor. For me personally, with that weakness off the floor, it's made a big, big difference. The other thing in terms of my shoulders, I've stopped setting them directly above the bar. I'm now setting them slightly in front of the bar, just slightly, and again, it makes a big difference. Instead of rocking forward and then starting the pull, everything happens in one go, and it feels, I can't explain to you how much better it feels. So those two changes, allowing a bit of thoracic, so upper back rounding, and setting my shoulders slightly in front of the bar, has helped my strength off the ground hugely, and has massively led to the improvements that you've seen in my deadlift PR. So for me personally, that's what's worked. So yeah, I didn't want to go on about it too much. There are the three big areas. So the reduced frequency, because obviously deadlifting is very CNS heavy, you don't want to do it too often. That kind of ripping it off the floor, just basically, you know, grab it and rip it. And then the third thing is a little bit of thoracic spine bending. Now, I wouldn't recommend that to someone that's new to the sport. And like I said, if you are just lifting for general health, I wouldn't recommend that at all. But if you are a powerlifter, if you are predominantly geared towards performance, then by all means, give it a go. And that, my friends, is pretty much that. They are my 3 tips for a bigger deadlift, and they are the 3 things that have massively improved my deadlift. So, I hope you enjoyed the video, guys. Please like, comment, share, subscribe, as always, and I will see you tomorrow.